brain plasticity. So why do we repeat the behavior, right? Why does a feedback loop actually work? Well, it's because our brains learn the behavior, or wants to learn the behavior. That's our brain is constantly seeking what's good for us. And there's a couple of important concepts that I want to teach. And by no means am I a neuroscientist, but I'm very lucky to have gone to found Stronger Brains with an incredible team of people, including Dr. Michael Merznick here, who is commonly regarded as the father of neuroplasticity, the father of brain plasticity. He created the cochlear implant many years ago, and went on to prove that that your brain changes throughout life, right? It's not just malleable at a young age and then gets solidified. No, it changes all the time. It wants to change. It can change, and we change our brains. It's about strengthening new neural pathways. And this is what feedback loops are, right? It's about building a habit. It's about having your brain go through an experience and then changing based off of that experience, right? So if we think about the action result action, right? I want to anchor us back into that because it's a really low level way of thinking about this. Is your brain has an action, right? Say scrolling through Instagram, right? Gets that new content. Oh, it likes that new content, right? It's a dopamine hit there. The brain's enjoying it. It feels good. And so you get a result of new content, and then you want to do that again. So you keep scrolling, right? Your brain learns that habit. It rewrites those neural pathways. Now, thankfully, we can do that in the positive way too, right? We can do it with like the loyalty card that we were talking about. We can do it with brain training, right? With positive actions, which we'll get to in a bit. The other concept that I think is important is just to think about dopamine. And simply, dopamine is a hormone. It feels good. It's a pleasure response, right? That is, I think it's the easiest way to understand is it's just very basically a pleasure response. It tells you when something is good. It says, hey, remember this. This felt good. This was fun. We enjoyed this. The big difference, I think, between a lot of the times the negative, the draining feedback loops and the positive feedback loops is it's how the dopamine is used, right? It's whether you have a delayed dopamine response. Like in a game, right, where you go on this whole journey, you go through this whole progress, right, of building up your character and creating your character and going on this epic journey. In the end, you get that dopamine hit because it's fun. You enjoy that experience, right? With the loyalty card, you go through, you purchase things, right? You make purchases, you build towards that reward. It's a good overarching dopamine hit structure, right? It's your brain's learning that behavior. But when you're on something like Instagram, where it's just constant dopamine drip is just always there. That's when it gets more risky, right? And that is what simply can lead to addiction down the road, right? And that's why social media addiction is real, right? That's why game addiction is real. So the key thing that I want to be the takeaway here is that a loop only built on dopamine is very draining, right? Especially with that immediate, that just constant hit over and over again. Dopamine delay is really positive. Dopamine is a good thing to use. Our bodies need it. That's what allows our species to succeed, right? If we didn't have dopamine, we would, we wouldn't be able to reproduce. Our species would die out. And then the key is that really in the end, the feedback loop, the way your brain is learning that, the way it sticks is because of brain plasticity, the brain's awesome ability to be able to change. So dopamine needs to be used responsibly. And the focus here is that if we use dopamine responsibly and use brain plasticity, we can build positive, constructive feedback loops that really serve us, that serve our communities, that serve our employees, our customers. There's systems to serve and to create good in the world. Which brings me to, once again, our action result action. I think this is a great way to visualize it because it's very simple and it just continues.